Hello everyone, I'm Gary of the Elysiums. Welcome back. Today we're going to be doing another one of my CD collection videos of one of my favorite bands of all time, Black Sabbath. As you can see, I'm wearing the shirt and we have a lot to go through. I think this might be the one band that I have the most of. And remember, this is just my CD collection. It's not covering vinyl or DVDs or VHS or memorabilia, books, nothing like that. Just strictly CDs. Now, since I have so many, I'm going to get into it really quick. But right before I do, please do me a favor. Please hit that subscribe button and like this video. It helps me out. And you also get updates every time I post a video. If you haven't seen my past video, a couple days ago was my complete Metallica CD collection. So now we're going to do Black Sabbath. Obviously, Black Sabbath are, arguably, let's say they are. I don't think anyone's going to really argue. The inventors of heavy metal. I mean, you've had heavy bands come before them, such as Led Zeppelin, Blue Cheer, Iron Butterfly, Steppenwolf, that, mentioned Heavy Metal Thunder. But this, Black Sabbath, they were the definition. I mean, they had the haunting lyrics, they had the, distorted guitars, and they were a huge influence on every single metal band. Now, one more thing I want to say is we are focusing on just Black Sabbath, not the solo projects. We're not doing anything Ozzy, not doing anything Dio, nothing Iommi, Geezer Butler, nothing like that. Just strictly the Black Sabbath name. And we're going to start it off right now, and we're going to get into it. First up, we have their debut album. This is a Sanctuary release out of England. This is a deluxe edition, so it features the entire album, but it puts on the Evil Woman, which was left off the US release. And obviously, sorry, it's hard to see the track listing there. And then we have the second disc of just bonus tracks, bunch of studio outtakes and instrumentals. So there it is, the debut album. I mean, look how haunting that is to come out in 1970. You picked it up and, probably think it's a folk album because of the, the house and the trees and stuff like that. Nope. This is still, I think this is like my favorite Sabbath album. This has a special place in my heart just because it's like the originator. It's the beginning. I just love it. It's so dark and it's just the first. It's bluesy. Great. And then here we have the remastered from Warner Brothers and Rhino Records. This is the 2016 remastered digipacks. Now, I did actually have all this stuff. The original CD releases that came out. Probably they were, 80s releases. I did have all of them, everything of the Ozzy and Dio, or everything from Ozzy to Dio, from Black Sabbath up until, Mob Rules, but also Dehumanizer. Well, no, I wouldn't say Dehumanizer was 92, so never mind. So everything from the debut album up until Mob Rules, I've had the original Warner Brothers CDs that came out like the 80s, and I actually ended up selling them just because I don't need them. I mean, it would be nice to keep them for this video, but it's whatever. And then this is, I actually remember buying this on, at Tower Records on Halloween Day in the year 2000. This is Paranoid. So this, it was $12.99. At that time it was cheap because, the CDs were expensive back then. I'm talking about 25 years ago. And Tower Records wasn't the cheapest store. They did have some sales every month, but I remember, I think the original CDs that I was mentioning were on sale, and I kind of argued and got this one. So this is the English Sanctuary release. Paranoid sounds way better. So it's a 96 remaster, but it's just cool because the original CD that was released here didn't have, cool story. It didn't have the lyrics. And then it didn't have the gatefold picture of the band there. Yeah, but this was, there is a couple others I had that from this 96 Sanctuary releases out of the United Kingdom. But this was the one that was like, I put this on. And, at the time, obviously, I knew War Pigs, I knew Paranoid, I knew Iron Man. But like Electric Funeral, Hand of Doom, Fairies Wear Boots. Fairies Wear Boots I actually didn't know because of the reunion CD. That was actually the first CD I got from Sabbath. This is the first one I actually purchased on my own. So hearing them other tracks was just like, whew, blew me away. And that was a time when You know, they were on the Ozfest. They just got together, you know, back with Ozzy after the reunion tour. And, you know, they were huge again. They were in the new metal scene, believe it or not, with the Ozfests. And they were just had a little resurgence. All right, next up is the Sanctuary Deluxe Edition. I like that it has the original Vertigo symbol there, which was the original label was released on. You know, 2 CD. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a 3 disc. So there's the original album remastered. There is another CD of studio outtakes and instrumentals, and then there is disc 2 is a 1974 quadraphonic mix. Quadraphonic, excuse me. I actually haven't listened to it. I don't believe I ever actually listened to the 1974. Maybe I did, but I don't recall. But I have to get into that to hear it. And then of course I have the remastered digipack. Like I said, I got rid of those. I didn't have Paranoid on those original Warner Brothers CDs because I had this, but I just couldn't give this up. It just sounds so great, and it's the first Sabbath album I bought with my own money, so I just had to keep it. Coming in next, so my shirt will show you Master of Reality. A lot of people claim this is the first like Doom album, along with the first stoner rock album. Whatever, it's metal and it's great. I mean, just 8 tracks on here, so good. You know, Embryo I think is cool. Going in there, Children of the Grave, Orchid. I could do without of it. Lord of this World, amazing. But like that intro, that guitar riff, Into the Void, amazing. And this has again previously unreleased stuff, studio outtakes, alternate versions, different things like that. And there's the original Vertigo label on the CD itself. Yeah. And the Digi version. And you notice they're both in purple. I know a lot of them came out with different color variations. You'll see like Master of Reality in gray. I think that's the original Warner Brothers CD had it in gray. You'll even see it in green a lot, pink. You'll see Black Sabbath in pink, green. So there's a lot of different color variants on how the Black Sabbath and Master of Reality is colored on the cover, but it's always black in the background. I'm sure a lot of people know about that. Coming in next, Volume 4, Digipack again, Warner Brothers 2016 remaster. So this album is amazing. However, there's some songs that I don't like changes. I don't need to hear changes again. I don't need to hear FX. Them two can be omitted from the CD. And the other 8 tracks are just amazing. Wheels of Confusion, which opens it, another great, intro riff, great stuff. That is the riff master. And Black Sabbath would like to thank the Coca-Cola Company of LA for helping in making this album. I'm sure a lot of you understand what I'm saying there. All right, next up, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath Digipack. Amazing. This is so heavy. I mean, this is just, it's a little faster than our other stuff in my opinion. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, that intro is whew. A Natural Acrobat, which I actually heard for the first time from Metallica. They do a cover of Sabre Cadaver, which is on this album, and they, kind of in the middle of the song, they break down and they go into a National Acrobat and they come back. So the first time I heard this, I heard Sabre Cadaver from Sabbath, and I was like, oh, they don't do that. Obviously, Metallica was bigger growing up, so I heard them before Sabbath. Well, before Sabbath, non-radio hits, I've heard Metallica, obviously. But, to go into that, and then to hear like that's an actual song, I'm like, oh, wow. But again, some of the instrumentals, like Fluff, I don't need to hear Fluff. Spiral Architect, again, to end it. Oof. Great stuff. And these digipacks, I don't like digipacks. They're horrible. But in the case of Sabbath, they are better than the CDs because you get such a nice booklet in all of these. So I'm pulling out Sabotage, which is coming up next. Again, this stuff is in chronological order. But you get a nice booklet with a nice story on the making of the album. Sometimes you get lyrics. This does not have the lyrics in it. But you get cool photos, and it just sounds way better. And it kind of replicates the album, the original album, as you can see. I'm sorry, on the booklet, you see the shot that's on the original album on the back. But these digipacks actually feature a different shot on the back of the band. In my opinion, the last 5-star album of the Ozzy era of Sabbath, the original Sabbath, Hole in the Sky, which opens a great Symptom of the Universe, probably the best song on this album. Just amazing. So basically, everyone's heard the story, but Sabotage is kind of a play, kind of tongue-in-cheek play on how they felt about the record company at the time. Bill Ward, see them red Spanish actually wearing his wife's pants on the cover. They were kind of a mess at the time. All right, next up, this is actually a Warner Records remaster or reissue. I don't want to say remaster, reissue of "We Saw Our Soul for Rock and Roll," the iconic greatest hits album from Black Sabbath. It was a 2-record set, as you can see up here, on 1 CD. What's cool about this is it has NIB, Nib or Nativity in Black, however you want to say it. You know, just by itself, it doesn't have the long intro and the other songs, the medley that you find on the original album. So if you just want to get into that, it's on here. They didn't remaster that for some reason. I'm not sure why in the digipack form. And then we have this other greatest hits. I forget I feel like it wasn't released by, I think it was an English release maybe, or an American release. Something weird about this. I'm sure someone will comment and tell me. But this is another greatest hits album to coincide with "We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll." I believe it wasn't released by Warner Brothers Records, something like that. But this now is actually tough to get on CD because it never really had a proper release. I mean, even this looks bootleg. I think I got this at like Pathmark. Anyone remember the store Pathmark, the supermarket? They used to have like a little bin in the middle, and they would have a bunch of CDs that were like $6.99. But there was like good stuff in there. I remember like finding this and Van Halen's Fair Warning and Van Halen 2. I think a couple like Dire Straits albums were in there. They actually had decent stuff, and for the price for $6.99 back then, you couldn't really find CDs for that cheap, especially good stuff like the Sabbath and the Van Halens and Dire Straits. All right, next up, Technical Ecstasy. I did say Sabotage was the last 5-star album. I would put this at like 4 stars. Still a great album. I think the artwork's horrible. It looks ridiculous. It's supposed to be like robots having sex or something. That's the rumor I've heard. Then you got the cartoon of the guys on the back. Just give me 1 second. I dropped one coming up. But yeah, it's a strong album. It features Bill Ward's vocals on "It's Alright," which is a great song. Love that song. Backstreet Kids, which opens it. Dirty Women, not Dirty Woman, or Evil Woman, excuse me. I always get them too confused, the titles, not the songs. Evil Woman, and then we have Dirty Women on this, which is kind of like the minor hit or the standoff, the single that was released from this album. All right, next up, Ready to Die. This will be the last album to feature Ozzy, until 13, many years later. Again, this album gets a lot of criticism that it's not good. Of course, the album cover is not that great. They did do some cool T-shirts though for the tour, interpolating that mask. But yeah, there's some good songs like this. I mean, the title track which open is great. Johnny Blade I like. The Hard Road is a great song. Breakout, Swinging the Chain. I mean, I like this album. I don't think it's a bad album. But yeah, there you see the Never Say Die there. But yeah, this was really cool stuff when it was released. Tour merch, I think, it's really cool. The album itself wasn't that strong, but I like it. I think it's good. I would give that 4 stars also, believe it or not. All right, so there is another video if you search in my library years ago where I actually ranked the studio discography of Black Sabbath. So, all right, here we have a Warner Brothers club version of Heaven and Hell, first album they would do with new singer Ronnie James Dio after Ozzy left the band or was fired, however you want to say it. 5-star album, amazing. It's always hard for me to rank this along the Ozzy era albums just because to me it's like 2 different eras. like this could be my second favorite Sabbath album, but it's like then I'm putting it against like Master Reality or Paranoid, and it's like, oh, I don't know. I had to like rank the non Ozzy years differently, but this is just solid, great album, 5 stars. Like I said, Neon Nights, what opens it up, Children of the Sea, Lady Evil. I mean, another iconic riff. Tony Iommi brings out again on the title track, Heaven and Hell. Wishing Well, Die Young. Oh, Ronnie's vocals that are just amazing. Walk Away and Lonely is the World. Yeah, nothing special about this. Just like I said, just the basic release, club release. I probably still own probably still owe Columbia House for. And then we have the deluxe version. This is not the Sanctuary Records one. This is released on Rhino Records here in the States in 2021. So, you get the entire album, 21 remastered, 2021 remastered, and then the bonus tracks. You get 3 live B-sides, and then you get 4 live from August 10th, 1980, and another 4 songs from December 31st, 1981. So some cool live stuff on there on the second disc. And what's cool about these is it shows you all these different, like, as you can see there, that's Japanese. Is it a single? That's the Heaven and Hell version, the Japanese version of Heaven and Hell. Neon Nights, the 7-inch single for Neon Nights. But what's cool about these is the booklet inside these deluxe versions show you all different pictures like that of different releases of the other from the other countries, from other what's the word I'm looking for? I just blanked out. From some of the singles. All right, I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. We're going pretty long on this. And then we have Live at Last. So this was released to coincide with Heaven and Hell. This is the first live album to feature Ozzy Osbourne. It's not the strongest album sound-wise. Again, this is one that's a little tougher to get on CD, that $6.99 stuff. But the set list isn't like a huge like hits. I mean, War Pigs is on there and Paranoid. But besides that, it's a lot of deep cuts, which I thought was pretty cool. But they would release that later on, which we'll get to. Again, the basic Warner Brothers version of Mob Rules. Followed up Heaven and Hell with another amazing album. Turn Up the Nights, an awesome song, Voodoo. Of course, the title track. And, Falling Off the Edge of the World. Produced by Martin Birch. Awesome album. That was released in 1981. And then we have the deluxe edition. Again, just like Heaven and Hell. 2021 remaster. Bonus tracks on the first disc. A bunch of live stuff. And then a whole, 1982 Portland concert on this. Again, similar to Heaven and Hell, you get the coolness of the different covers and stuff. And then I just have they say it's a deluxe edition or deluxe expanded edition of Live Evil, but it's really not. It's the entire album just remastered in 2021. Nothing special on here besides, being amazing live album. First live album they would do officially, and first live album released with Ronnie James Dio. Great album. But yeah, it's just a regular album remastered. They call it a deluxe expanded edition, I guess, because it has a booklet. But then I also have the Super Deluxe box set. This is the only Super Deluxe box that I bought from Sabbath. I know they did a bunch like with Volume 4 and Paranoid and there were things like that. So yeah, this is really cool. You get a nice hardcover booklet in there. Obviously, you got some essays in there, pictures, stories, all that stuff. And so this was just not actually attached to the back of the box. It was just kind of put in there in a cellophane, so I obviously had to keep that. You get a kind of a replica Mob Rules tour booklet. A nice poster of the band, Black Sabbath. I'm not going to unfold. And then you have 2 CDs in there. You have the Live Evil remastered in 2023, I want to say this is. Could be 22. 23. 23, and then you have this Live Evil 40th Anniversary Remix 2 CD. The only thing I thought would have been cool if they would have did a DVD or something, like anything like that, a little bit of a documentary. Even if they mention something about the Black and Blue tour, so Blue Oyster Cult opened for them. They kind of did a co-tour together. So if there was something cool, with that would have been nice to release in the box set. But overall, I'm happy with it. It's more of a collector's item. I don't really listen to it. I did listen to the new remix when it first came out, when I first bought it. Otherwise, I just go to the regular CD. All right, here we have Born Again. Now, this is the first album they would do after Dio left the band. This is with Ian Gillan. Ian Gillan originally, obviously, with Deep Purple and the Mark II era. This is a 96 Sanctuary release. This one's kind of tough to find, too. This was always hard to find in stores. And believe it or not, this was actually banned for a while because of the cover. It was controversial of a Devil Baby. I don't know why. But really strong album. In my opinion, it's not... If you've never heard this, and you hear me say Ian Gillan fronting Black Sabbath, you would think like Machine Head and Paranoid mixed the two albums, but it's not. I mean, it's a good album. 83 release, so it does have an 80s sound to it, but overall it is a very strong album. Obviously you got Ozzy to Dio, then Ian Gillan, and another this next album, another amazing vocalist, Glenn Hughes. So this was actually supposed to be released as a Tony Iommi solo album, which is why you see it says Black Sabbath featuring Tony Iommi. So in this mid 80s, this came out in 86. 86, I believe it was 86. The 86. Again, Sanctuary release. The band was not that. I mean, they were huge as an influence, but as new music. Is anyone going to buy a Tony Iommi solo album? Well, if you slap Black Sabbath on there, it's going to sell a lot better. So that's basically what they did. 86 was the height of hair metal. And, Tony, he's a little... He's got a little Aquanet there going, a little bit. But he's, he's not wearing spandex and sliding across the stage and with pink guitars and all that. And then next up, we have the Eternal Idol. First album they would do with Tony Martin, who's an amazing vocalist, but again, he's following up Ian Gillan, Ronnie James Dio, and Ozzy Osbourne, so kind of tough. This is a Sanctuary Deluxe Edition. What's cool about this is this disc here, the second disc, is actually performed, the album, with Ray Gillan on vocals. So the first disc on here is the original album remastered with Tony Martin as singing. The second disc was Ray Gillan, which actually was going to be the lead singer of the band, but it didn't work out. Ray Gillan went on to form Badlands with Jake Ely, Ozzy's former guitarist, and he's a great, vocalist. I heard he didn't really get along with everybody, but he's a really good vocalist, and unfortunately he passed away. Next up, this is probably my favorite of the Tony Martin era, Headless Cross. 1989 release, very strong. The title track is my favorite on here. I feel like it's another iconic Black Sabbath song. Now this is released on IRS Records, just the basic CD. And again, this stuff was hard to find, probably because they weren't huge sellers, and to find it used is like a needle in a haystack, because no one really, people that bought this were diehard Sabbath fans and are probably not giving it up. But you can find these new remasters. Yeah, I know, I had to go buy them. Even though in digipacks, I hate them. Warner Records, this is Tony Iommi remix in 2024. So this is the original album remixed by Tony Iommi in 2024. And yeah, they do sound different. So if you're wondering, I do suggest heading out and picking them up. And then we have Tear. Not as strong as the Headless Cross. It's a weird Sabbath album to me. I mean, even the colors are green and stuff like that. It looks more of a Viking metal, power metal album. Features Cozy Powell on drums though, which is awesome. So, again, that one's really hard to find. And then again, the 2024 Tony Iommi remaster. They do these remasters nice, even though they're in digipacks. They got some nice artwork and stories in there. And then I guess who's back? Ronnie James Dio. 1992's Dehumanizer. Huge album for the band. My favorite song off here is I. I is such a strong song. I just feel like that should be like a metal staple, and it's weird it's not as popular as it should be. So, you know, Tony Martin actually went off to do his own thing because he was kind of mad that Sabbath got back with Ronnie James Dio during that time. So Tony Martin did release some solo stuff. I don't have it. It's very tough to find, but if you see it out there, definitely grab it. 2019 remastered 2 CD edition, Dehumanizer. And again, it is cool to have both versions because you can hear the difference. And if not only for that, if you don't want to hear just the remaster, I mean, disc 2, you got 3 bonus tracks, and then live stuff from Florida in July '92. 6 tracks, all previously unreleased. And then again, Dio out. Hey, let's call Tony Martin back up, and let's do 1994's Cross Purposes. Cool album art. Mediocre album. It's not bad. It's not great. I think it's forgotten about. And of course, we have the Tony Iommi remix. Why not? We have to. There's a bonus track on here called What's the Use? Geezer Butler back on bass. Stayed for Dehumanizer. Bill Ward is out. And Bobby Rodinelli plays drums. Not really sure he's for. Jeff Nichols, though, he's on here on keyboards. Oh, I don't think I opened that, did I? Alright, we're only halfway through. Sorry if this video is so long. I just got so much. So this was a CD and video double pack. Came with a VHS. I actually never had the VHS. I only found this used. This is Cross Purposes Live. So the first live album with Tony Martin, which is funny because he does a Dio song. He does a lot of Ozzy songs on here. And there's only 4 tracks from the Tony Martin albums, and the rest 9 are from, well, 8 are from the Ozzy albums, and 1 Time Machine from Dehumanizer. And then their last studio album for a long time, 1995's Forbidden, released on Irish Records. This is widely known as Black Sabbath's worst album. Excuse me. I just listened to it again yesterday. I'm a huge Sabbath fan, and I really, really like Tony Martin. So I'm not saying... It's weird. I'll get to it later, but I'm not saying it's the worst, but it's easier for me to listen to than another album from them. Again, there's the remaster. Another thing that like people like to get on us about is there's a feature from Ice-T on here. They're like the rapper Ice-T. It's on the first song, Illusion of Power. So Tony Martin starts talking rather than singing, kind of like a rap, but not a hip-hop rap, more of like a poet rap, I would say. Slam rap, I don't know, whatever it's called, slam poetry talking. And then Ice-T comes in. It's not like a full rap, but remember at the time, Ice-T was with Body Count, which was like considered a metal band, and they were like hardcore band. So yeah, Ice-T is a rapper, but he's also a singer in like a hardcore band / metal band. So there's other ways they could have went with that with other rappers, I guess. So right now, since we're going in chronological order, I'm just going to show you this box set. This is from 1996, Under Wheels of Confusion, Sanctuary box set, 4 discs. Basically, all it is just everything the band did up until Forbidden. You have a poster there. It's very, very heavy on Ozzy. Then you kind of have like a family tree of everything that went through there. That's pretty cool to look at. But it's a really, I'll fold it up later, I don't want to waste time. Really thick booklet in there, going through everything, which is cool. Again, 4 discs, all released from Sanctuary. First disc is the debut through Master of Reality. Select songs, not everything. Second disc, Volume 4 through Sabotage. Third disc is Technical Ecstasy through Heaven and Hell. And then Mob Rules through the Eternal Idol. So I apologize. It's only goes up to the Eternal Eternal Idol. Excuse me, I'm talking too much. So it doesn't have the Humanizer or Headless Cross or anything like that in there, or Forbidden, like I said. And then The one I mentioned earlier, the 1998 reunion album, I actually got this off my uncle. I'm sure he's not missing it because I've had it for probably like 26, 27 years now. Great album, I love it. Obviously, was, when I was getting in the middle of that time, new metal, Ozzy and stuff like that, so, Black Sabbath, let me grab this because it's 2 discs. There's a lot of songs in there. I recognize a lot of songs. He didn't have a greatest hits at the time, but I love throwing this on from time to time. The DVD, another thing I hate besides digipacks are these 2 discs that just fall apart. So yeah, this is the original band together for the first time since, they did perform together at Live Aid in 1985, but this is the first time they would be together since like 1978. Very strong album, very strong live album. First officially released live album with Ozzy Osbourne, and 2 studio tracks, which ended Psycho Man, which is pretty popular, and Selling My Soul. Special place in my heart. So like I said, first actual Sabbath album I heard and owned. Here we have Symptom of the Universe, 1970 to 1978. 2 disc set. Again, cool pictures. Love that picture of Ozzy holding the skull there. Nice bookleted there. 2 digipacks inside, featuring basically everything from the Ozzy era. There are 29 tracks here altogether, and it's basically like a 2 disc greatest hits released by Rano of Black Sabbath. And again, this is when they were at the peak of like Ozfest, and they were headlining. They were back together again, and they had a whole new audience of all us young kids getting into Sabbath and getting into the original influences. And this is the album that actually, I believe it came out the same day as Symptom of the Universe. This is called Past Lives. So basically, this is the remastered version and the first official release of Live at Last on disc 1. And disc 2 is a bunch of all new unreleased stuff. At the time, unreleased live albums. So 2 live sets on here. Again, deluxe edition. I had the original version. I'm not sure what happened to it. The original version actually came with a guitar pick. Black Sabbath guitar pick, which is really cool. And a poster, I believe. I think it came with a poster. So yeah, again, this just says deluxe edition. All it is just the remastered version, the original CD. The booklet in there goes a little more in depth, but nothing really deluxe about it. All right, we got next up. It's a compilation, Black Sabbath, the Dio years. So basically what happened was they got back with Ronnie James Dio after doing the whole thing with Ozzy through the Ozfest. He went on to do his solo albums like Scream and Black Rain and stuff like that. So in 2007, they decided to get back with Dio. Sharon Osbourne caused this whole racket, and they could not tour under the name Black Sabbath with Dio. So they went under the title of Heaven and Hell. And this is just a compilation of the best of Dio years, like it said. And you know what? I know I was saying only Black Sabbath, but technically, this is Black Sabbath. As I mentioned, Heaven and Hell. So this is the first release with, Ronnie James Dio back in the fold. It's since Dehumanizer. This is live at Radio City Music Hall in 2007, 2 disc set. And then they released their first studio album with Ronnie James Dio since 1992 called Heaven and Hell. Basically, it's Black Sabbath under a different name. Bible Black was the huge song off here, really good. And they did a DVD. Oh, this was a DVD also, live at Radio City. But they also did another one, DVD, Neon Nights, live in Europe, Heaven and Hell. So yeah, it was really cool to get these 3 later releases with a newly formed Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio. This is a Sanctuary Universal 2009 Greatest Hits. Titled Greatest Hits of Black Sabbath. Again, it's just the Ozzy years. And then we have this album, 13, lenticular cover. This is the first album. It's released in 2013. So first album in what, 35 years? 35 years with Ozzy. So 1978, Never Say Die, to 2013. 13. This is a deluxe edition. It features 3 extra tracks. To me, it's long. It's very doomy. It's boring in spots. I don't hate it. I listen to it, but I would grab Forbidden before this, just because Forbidden's a little more upbeat for me, and it's not so long and drug out. All right, here is a kind of a bootleg released on Godfather Records. This is called Masters of Black Masses. 2 CD set. CD 1 is a live set from Sheffield, January 14th, 1971. Disc 2 is from the Hollywood Bowl, September 15th, 1972. And there's some bonus tracks on this. As you see, very similar to the Master of Reality album cover. And then we have The End. This is basically leftover studio tracks from 13 that were re-released as an EP. This was originally only released, well, I say EP, it is 8 tracks, but 4 of them are live, 4 of them are studio. This was originally only released at their show on the, their farewell tour. I believe it was on stores afterwards. I don't know, but I got this on their farewell tour. I did see them in Camden, New Jersey. A great show. I had really close seats, so it was cool to see them one last time. And then here's the live CD from that set, The End Tour. This one's live in Birmingham. Only fitting that's where the band comes from. So 17 songs spread out over 2 discs. Does not feature Bill Ward. I always butcher his last name. I think it's Tommy Clufetos. Great drummer. He's awesome. I know he played with like Rob Zombie, but he is great. He was the standout actually when I saw them live. I was like, who's that drummer? I didn't know who it was at the time. But yeah, 2 disc set, and I like this because they do songs like Under the Sun, Every Day Comes and Goes, After Forever, Behind the Wall of Sleep, Supernaut, Megalomania, like songs you don't usually hear them play live. So I love that they included that stuff. And then we have the Ultimate Collection. This is kind of after the End Tour. This was just like, hey, don't forget about us. Here's a 2 CD set of everything we did with Ozzy, basically our greatest hits. And it also features It's Alright. So we have all Ozzy and we have 1 Bill Ward song on here. And now we're kind of getting to the official bootlegs. This is Montreux in 1970, the Lost BBC Sessions. So it's from 3 different shows altogether, and also some early demos on this, featuring a cover of Blue Suede Shoes. I don't know if you could pause that and see that. I know it's kind of tough to say everything that's on here. Another one, this is Heaven in Hartford, Connecticut, broadcast in 1980. Obviously, we got Ronnie James Dio there on lead vocals. Does a lot of Ozzy songs on here. It's kind of similar to Live Evil, but not so much. There's a little more deeper cuts in here and some more jammy stuff. Then we have this Transmission Impossible. I've had a similar one to this, the Metallica version also, which I've shown in that video. So 3 different sets, all with Ozzy. First disc is from 1970. Second disc is from 1974. Third disc is from 1978. So the 3rd disc, you get a live show from the end of the Ozzy era. This one we have Steel City Blues. This is Pittsburgh broadcast, 1978. Opens up with Snowblind. Does Dirty Women on here, Electric Funeral, Rock and Roll Doctor. This one's really cool. This one is Lausanne from Switzerland, 1970. This was the band very, very new. This is April 29th, 1970. Basically do everything off of their first album, except for they do Fairies Wear Boots and War Pigs. And then we have one in a live album with Ian Gillan. This is Deep Black. As you can see, the title there, Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, the combo. Does a lot of Ozzy songs on here. It's probably 50-50 Ozzy and Born Again songs. But yeah, it's cool to hear a live album with Ian Gillan on there. Kind of tough to find. Really tough to find. This one, I don't even know what year it came out. This bootleg, it's from Mighty Atom Records and Tapes in Long Beach, California. This is called We Love You All, Do As Thou Wilt. There are 4 different sets on here. 4 songs from each set. One from 71, 75, and then the Live Aid 3 songs from JFK Stadium here in Philly. And to end it, 92, Costa Mesa, California. This one, another one. Don't know what year it's from. Gypsy War Pigs. It was recorded in '76. I don't know what year it was released here on CD. From Syracuse, New York. This would have been on the Technical Ecstasy tour. And that's actually all the Black Sabbath I have. I have a couple more to show you, tribute albums. Thanks for bearing with me. Nativity in Black. This is a very strong tribute album because it featured the big metal bands at the time that were very influenced by Sabbath. This is more that 90s metal, you know, groove metal bands like Biohazard, White Zombie, Corrosion of Conformity, great. Sepultura is on here. Bruce Dickinson, Faith No More, Typo Negative. This is a really cool one because at the time it got some of these bands a little more well known because Ozfest was just starting up, and you buy, as a Sabbath fan, an older fan, you buy this and you hear these other metal bands that are, you know, big in the 90s, but the media didn't really show them because they weren't alternative or grunge. So this was a cool exposure for those bands. And then we had the follow-up, Nativity in Black 2. This is more of the new metal bands. Again, exposed some more new metal bands. The Ozfest guys like Godsmack, Static X, System of a Down, Pantera's on here doing a cover Electric Funeral, which is amazing, obviously. Primus with Ozzy doing NIB. That was a huge radio hit at the time. Remember, that was on the radio all the time. Slayer's on here, Monster Magnet, and Busta Rhymes, the huge metal, heavy metal star, Busta Rhymes. And you want to talk about Ice-T. All right, final one I have here. This is called Heaven and Hell, a tribute to Black Sabbath. This is a lot less known bands. Steel Prophet, I've heard of them. Cephala Carnage, obviously. They're like kind of a grindcore, I believe. Hate Theory, I've heard of. Vital Remains, obviously. So yeah, this is more of a heavier tribute as opposed to the other two Nativity in Blacks. Okay, everyone, thank you for bearing with me. I'm sorry this video was so long. I just have so much Sabbath. I didn't even realize I was doing it. But coming up soon, I'll be making another CD video collection video of another one of my favorite bands, and it's going to be pretty long also. It's going to be Kiss. So looking forward to doing that soon. Everyone, I appreciate you supporting my channel. I appreciate all the comments. I'm sorry I can't reach out to every single one. I do get a lot. I do enjoy doing this. I'm glad I'm back in the group. So I just want to thank everybody for their support. And again, please go like and subscribe. And, you know, even if you don't like this video, I'm sure something else will come across that you'll like. I do everything. All right, everyone. Take care. Thank you.